loves, your girl Carrie here. Today I want to talk about something, and I never actually noticed it before. But since my healing journey and getting certified in healing and helping others and so forth, I something happened to me today, and I want to share it with you because this may be something that you go through or have gone through and never realized it your own self. If I didn't actually go through the healing process that I did, and I was still living in the survival mode that I probably would have just took today as any normal day. Today is the very first day of my 43 years of life that someone did something to me and for me, not to me, but for me, and just out of the kindness of their heart. And people do things obviously to be kind, but things like gifts and things like that that have been given to me were given under circumstances, like I was having surgery, or, it's a birthday or whatever, graduation and so forth. So, not that those are not wonderful things that people do for me, and I don't want to bypass the cherished, love that people have shown for those situations. But today's not a special day. Today's not an event. And today someone did something so kind. And I want to share it with you because not only obviously am I touched, but there's a reason that I feel this hasn't happened in the past. And it's not actually because of there's not kind people out there or that I'm not someone that people don't think about. I think it's because I didn't allow this in my life. My entire life, since I have abandonment issues from my birth father and childhood abuse from a stepfather, my whole entire life I lived in survival mode. And here, becoming an adult, I was a very ambitious and hard worker, and I took pride in that because I took pride in the fact that I could provide for myself since I suffered so much as a kid, since I didn't know if I was going to ever have different clothes or, be fed different meals, and, if we would even have our lights on half the time. And so, doing so much as I got older, I took pride in that. I took pride in being able to do for myself. It wasn't until I had my job. I remember I begged my mom to get me a worker's permit so at the age of 14 I can start working. And I have been working since age 14. And I wanted to have my own clothes. I That was the reason I wanted to work. I wanted to work to buy my own clothes because I had never worn anything other than hand-me-downs that were passed on through my entire life. And so I took pride in this. And even I have my oldest son who is 19, and I never took his dad even to court. I didn't take his dad to court till my son was age 11. So never did he pay a dime of child support or anything. But I took pride in that because I took pride in the fact that I was a hardworking mother and I never asked a dime from anybody, not even my own step parent, stepdad and mother. Like I never asked anyone for a penny. And again, I took pride in that. But little did I know all of that was actually from a father wound because I didn't have someone to provide for me who should have provided for me. And so instead of like living in the being and being a normal human being, I was living in the doing. I wanted to help, I wanted to serve, I wanted to save, I wanted to protect because these were all things my father didn't do for me. So I wanted to make sure that I could do them for others. I, felt so proud of myself for achieving things, and here that achievement was more of an addiction. I was addicted to just doing more and being more and always getting more because that was how I valued myself. Because I felt that if I wasn't good enough to be loved by my own father, that I had to show love for myself. Growing up, my mother and my father are very much so emotionally immature. And so, having emotionally immature parents, one thing I also noticed that helping and serving and protecting and so forth that came with the fact that I was veering towards emotionally unavailable people because I wanted to be that emotional support for them instead of them showing me emotion and support and love. I was veering towards what love was not and not what love is. And so I always had an interest in people that weren't actually interested in me. Their use of me was a supply and what I could provide for them. And that was it. The ironic thing is that I craved peace, and here I kept searching for peace, and yet I just kept creating myself chaos. Because if I wasn't busy doing something, I didn't feel that I was valued. I needed that commotion, that chaos, that everyday thinking and being on my toes and being 10 steps ahead, because that was the life that I knew as survival. That was the life that I knew of being worthy. And it wasn't until I heard someone ask, are you running towards something? So is it really ambition? Are you running towards something like a goal or something, in that nature? Or are you running away from something? And that's when I realized I was running away from the truth that I am enough and I can be valued without giving something or sacrificing myself. That I deserved to be loved and I deserved to have peace just as much as everyone else that I was trying to give that to. I had so much like lack of self-worth and I felt that I was nothing if I wasn't accomplishing something. So I always had to be doing something so that I felt worthy, I felt valued. I'll never forget when we finally had the courts got involved and legal got involved with my sister and I from them catching on with the abuse that was happening with my stepfather. And I remember my dad and my mom and my sister and we had to go to a mediation. And we sat with this counselor, or GAL. I'm not really sure what they were. I was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something at that time. And I remember him telling my dad, do you know that this man is abusing your children? And that was the first time I ever saw my dad cry. And I thought to myself, wow, he really does love us. And I also saw, though, that I was yet abandoned again because even though he knew that, he still didn't step up to the plate to save us. And so nothing hurt worse than knowing that now your own father, who is supposed to love you, is doesn't even care if you're eating or not, doesn't even care if you're struggling, doesn't even care if you're getting hit or not, you're being abused. And so if my own father won't even show up for me, how can I count on anyone else? I remember I remember it vaguely, my mom saying something like, I can't even buy a gallon of milk, can't you help me? Um, and that is what hurts, is the fact that now you know about it. And same thing, like as I, grew older and voiced my concerns about him and his absence and stuff, he knows about it, but yet I'm supposed to just accept who he is. And I mean, I am, and I've come to terms with it. And clearly you could see it still bothers me and it's still something that I'm working through and working on. But if you're someone out there who is doing so much and like literally breaking your back, breaking your neck, whatever words you want to use to achieve something, because you don't have a bar set for a standard within yourself. So if you just keep on going and keep on doing, maybe eventually someone will love you or someone will appreciate you for who you are. And so that's why today, with getting that gift, it came out of nowhere. And I mean, it was a coffee gift card. It wasn't like, it wasn't a new, Lamborghini or something, but it's, it meant more than a Lamborghini to me. It meant more than anything because it was the first time that I didn't have to do anything or show who I am or to help or serve or protect or have event or a situation in order to feel loved. So if you're out there and you're doing so much and you feel that you're drowning because there's no limit, you don't know when enough will be enough. And I just want you to know that success doesn't equal love. Success is just an accomplishment. It's basically the solution to what you're doing to, and I'm not saying that you have to be someone that does nothing in life. But if you are getting to the point where you feel that you're burning yourself like, a wick at both ends, it's time to take a break. It's time to love yourself. It's time to let go of something, reorganize your finances, try and cut back on something, you know, or do something for yourself, even if it's something like going to get your nails done, or like, buying something that you don't normally buy, like a Snickers bar or something. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything even extravagant. Even going on a walk, it doesn't even have to cost money. But do something so that you can love yourself, because man, to feel so loved over a gift card, it sounds so silly, but it really meant so much to me that someone did that just by thinking of me. And it's it's proof that kindness really does go a long way, and it costs nothing to be kind. They didn't have to get me a gift card even. Sometimes it's just nice to tell someone that you see them and they're doing good, or they're making you proud, even just by seeing their accomplishments and so forth. Because sometimes we lack, we put ourselves last all the time, especially being mothers. I mean, and this is not to say that fathers aren't wonderful either, ones that are good fathers. But sometimes we're doing a lot because we don't know what's enough. And in my therapy, I learned that you can't give something that you don't get. And maybe it was me depriving someone of showing me love, something so simple as a gift card, because I was always, seeing myself as valued by doing instead of being, just being me. And maybe it's because of me, because I deprived someone of doing something so nice like that, because I didn't know what it was like to accept kindness, because I was always the one giving it. But little did I know it was because I needed it most. And today, it was like the first time that I could look at my, 8-year-old self and say, Carrie, you could be loved too. And realize that it is a trauma, response when you are constantly being the giver and not the receiver. And, in order to give love, you have to be able to receive it. Love is actually a gift, it is something you receive. And I remember having a hard time, and I went through like therapy and stuff with compliments. That's another thing that I struggle with, because I've always been one to give compliments to others, and I've been told so many times, like, God, you're so body positive, you're so nice, you're so kind, like, and I like that about myself. I like that I see the good in everyone and in everything. But when you are grown in hostility and hearing everything you aren't and what you don't do versus who you are and what you can be, you find stuff to make you comfortable then with that compliment. So if someone were to say, you have a nice sweater, I'd be like, oh, well, look at my hair, it's a mess. Like, I would put myself down, because that was how I could appreciate the compliment that they gave me. So today was not only a wonderful gesture from this person that I am so thankful for and send so much love to for doing that for me. But it was a curve for me in my life, knowing that, I am making ways and seeing these things now and catching these things that I didn't before. And I wanted to share it with you because if you're out there thinking you're ambitious, but you're burnt down and burnt out and asking yourself like, is it ever going to end, or can I just get a break, or or anything in that nature, are you I want you to ask yourself, are you running towards something, or are you running away from something? Because if you are running away from something, you have to realize that you deserve the love that you give every day. And we are a soul. We are a soul in a human having a life experience. And what experience are you going to have if you can't stop and smell the roses and appreciate the life that you've been given? And one thing, too, that is hard for me is trust. Coming from a narcissistic, abusive relationship that literally lost all the trust that I could possibly think of, and I'm building that too. One thing with having abandonment wounds of a parent, it's hard for you to trust that people will show up. So you don't ask for help. You don't, even show that you are struggling. You always are trying to show that you're achieving, because if you show that there's weakness or that, you're struggling, you can't even rely on someone to actually show up for you to help you anyway. So you never try to show that weakness. You try to be, the tough person. And sometimes we just need to allow that trust to happen and allow people to show up for us. And again, if you're someone that has that abandonment wound from a mother or a father, you got to give, you got to get in order to give. You have to start building that trust. You have to start, receiving that love. And it does start with trust and finding what enough is inside of you. You set the bar, you set the tone. And that is what loving yourself truly is.